Hello, I'm Larry Dignan from Constellation Insights.
And I'm Doug Henschen, Vice President and Principal Analyst at Constellation Research. And we're your co-hosts for episode 85 of Constellation Research TV. We're here in beautiful Woodinville, Washington at our Analyst Relations Summit, Analyst Relations Experience event. It's been a great couple of days getting together with Analyst Relations folks at various vendors, hearing about the trends they're seeing, things that we can share with the end users and our customers on the buy side. But Larry, later in this episode, we're going to share an interview that you did with Nir Minerbi. He's CEO of Classiq. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about why folks want to tune in on that interview.
Yeah, so the quantum computing space is very nascent, but Classiq is trying to build a software ecosystem that rides on top of the various quantum computing platforms, which is kind of interesting because it's basically a runtime for quantum computing.
All right, very hot market. But first, let's get to the news.
So when it comes to the news this week, AI infrastructure overcapacity is becoming a thing. If you look at Google's earnings call the other day, they basically got, not reamed, but they got some questions about their capital spending and whether they're building out too much, and they talked about buying a bunch of GPUs and all that. And the reply was from Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai. It was basically that the risk is underinvesting, not overinvesting.
Yeah.
But if you look around, like I listened to a podcast with Goldman Sachs, Sequoia, the venture capitalist, they're all talking about the build out. Everybody's hoarding GPUs, it's benefiting NVIDIA, and people are starting to ask about, well, is this going to be like telecom back in the day where we laid all this fiber and then no one used it for a while?
Yeah.
So it's an issue of, at over 10 years, building out this infrastructure makes a lot of sense. Is it going to look good in 3 years? No idea.
Yeah.
But people are starting to ask the questions.
So Google isn't alone, though. So everybody's in this position. They competitively, they have to go there, but
they have to go. And it's fascinating, because people are starting to ask the question, and it brings me to
the analysts, the hard-hitting financial analysts that determine stock direction,
and investors too. Everybody's kind of wondering about like how many GPUs do we need?
Yeah,
and if we're not using them the second, what? I mean, because we know enterprises aren't necessarily building out this capacity.
Right. Yeah, they're going more slowly than the developments they're seeing from the cloud suppliers and the software vendors.
They're way more skeptical.
Yeah. So, other news. So, on a workflow front, we saw a pretty big announcement this week.
Yeah, very interesting in that Workday and Salesforce basically combined data models, and they didn't say it outright, but they focused a lot on employee workflows and things like that. And the key word for me was the word workflow, because that's ServiceNow's word. And so if you read between the lines on this, it's like Workday and Salesforce, they were seeing enough competition from ServiceNow coming in as a layer above the HR systems and the CRM systems that they had to fend them off a bit. So while it makes sense for joint customers of Workday and Salesforce, I see this move as a little defensive too. And then there were things like the Boomi ServiceNow deal. There's just a lot of jockeying here to combine things.
Absolutely. And in that Salesforce Workday announcement, I heard the word zero copy. So it puts me in mind to Data Cloud being an element of that announcement, and the idea, just as they have with Snowflake, as they have with BigQuery, the idea that you'll be able to have a data fabric in Data Cloud and get your Workday data into maybe the Einstein AI type of analyses and powering those workflows and triggers. And then on that Boomi and ServiceNow front, Boomi has the API management, Boomi has the data orchestration. ServiceNow doesn't have that. They have the business process. They don't necessarily have the data connections. They don't necessarily have the API connections. So their two worlds, Boomi and ServiceNow, together make their world bigger through this announcement. I've been doing some research recently on Boomi, very interesting and aggressive. It had been a sleepy integration platform as a service vendor, but quietly powerful, 20,000 plus customers, But over the last 2 years, Steve Lucas, well-known CEO in the tech space, came in. He's got experience from SAP, from Salesforce, from Adobe, and he's really ramping up investments there at Boomi. They acquired Apida, an API management company, also Mashery, formerly part of Tibco, as part of the cloud software group. They acquired those assets, bringing them together, and he's painting a really big vision of an AI agent orchestration. So, Boomi becomes not just an iPaaS, but something that's going to power AI applications. They're going to have their own agents, things like Data Detective to detect privacy-sensitive data, things like Scribe to document processes, document transformations. Then they're going to bring in partners. FinTalk is an app, the AI app they have from partner Vianai, Vishal Sikka, former SAP co-CEO, and that's an AI-powered app. So a much bigger play than integration. They're looking at driving AI applications.
They're doing a nice job.
Yeah, very aggressive, raising the profile of Boomi. That's all the time we have for in the news, but let's get to Larry's interview.
Hi, I'm Larry Dignan from Constellation Insights, and we're here with Nir Minerbi. He's a CEO of Classiq. Hi, Nir. How you doing?
Great, Larry. Thank you very much for having me.
So I've been following quantum computing for a few years now, and it's kind of taken a few interesting turns in that we've talked about quantum supremacy, and now it seems like it's evolved into more like, what can quantum computing today do? I guess for starters, explain what Classiq does and kind of give me the state of where quantum computing sits today.
Sure. So Classiq is a quantum computing software company. We develop the operating system and compiler for any quantum computer. And to connect it to the second question, so quantum computing isn't new. It was envisioned since the 80s, and the big question wasn't why develop quantum computers. It was when, or even if. And if we want to summarize the revolution in quantum computing in the last few years, is the shift of the question, right? The if turned into when, and the when into relatively soon. And in order to realize this new era in computing, we need hardware and we need software. While many good companies are focused on developing the hardware, it's too early to bet on the winner, but we see amazing progress by many of them. We established this company 4 years ago as there isn't any quantum software stack. No one can really program quantum computers. And it was quite clear that it will be essential into the development of this new field. So this is what we do. We are a product company. The product is well adopted among large enterprises, academic institutions, and this is what we focus on.
And you work across the various quantum systems like Quantinuum, IBM, et cetera. I guess how does that work out across the hardware platforms?
Yeah, great question. So the answer is yes. The compiler and the OS are completely hardware agnostic, both in the, I would say, superficial way of we are integrated with all of the available quantum computers, many dozens, but also from the deep way. The technology that we bring into this evolving software stack is the design automation, right? With Classiq, you don't need to specify the quantum program at the gate level. You specify a high-level functional model that is focused on what you want to achieve, on the application, on the algorithm. And then our cross-compiler is taking the high-level functional model and the hardware constraints. Constraints could be anything, the qubit count, the noise model, the connectivity, and so on. And it synthesizes a gate-level circuit that is optimized for a specific machine. So from one high-level functional model, you can get many different programs, circuits that are adapted and optimized for very different machines.
So how does your software either rely on error corrections, or I guess how does that impact the software stack? Because I know everybody's sort of chasing this error correction thing across platforms. I mean, I saw something I mean, just recently from Quantinuum, and there's a lot of papers flying around about error correction. And how important is that into, not only just adopting quantum systems, but also, how does that impact the software layer?
Yeah, great question. So eventually the software layer enables quantum software engineers in any industry, of course, any use case, to describe what they want to achieve with the quantum computer, to describe the algorithm, and the software stack is automating the rest of the process. Now, in order to realize some of the killer applications and more sophisticated algorithms, quantum algorithms, yes, you need a fault-tolerant machine, and you need error correction, and therefore, this type of developments among hardware providers are very exciting. And from the software perspective, so it has two main effects. First, these fault-tolerant algorithms, the more complex algorithms, the HHL and QPE and Henschen and Grover are, becoming more relevant for end users. And these are much more complex algorithms with millions and tens of millions of gates. So definitely you need design automation tools in order to develop them. You cannot do that at the gate level. So this is one key aspect. And the second key aspect, which is also interesting, is embedding the error correction schemes in advance of the compilation. So in the first place, you can get a quantum circuit with the error correction code on top of it as part of the compilation flow.
Okay. In terms of kind of quantum interplaying with supercomputing, and I have heard the term hybrid quantum computing a lot more. How do you see that playing out in terms of supercomputing and quantum and how that all plays together?
Yeah. So first, most quantum algorithms are hybrid. It means that there is the quantum acceleration done on a quantum computer, but parts of the algorithm are done on a classical computer. When this is definitely a hybrid workflow. So we will need classical computers as part of the quantum workflow by all means. On top of that, we see many of the HPC providers trying to embed quantum computers within the HPC stack, both from the hardware perspective. We see more and more HPC centers buying quantum computers and trying to integrate them within the HPC stack. And also from the software perspective, and this is something that we are very much involved in, we see development environment that are dedicated for supercomputing, like the HP Cray development environment. That so we work closely with HP on integrating Classiq as backend to HP Cray programming environment. So we allow by that the Cray developers to access quantum computers as well. A similar story with NVIDIA CUDA Quantum. So definitely it's going to be integrated, probably in the long term, but definitely in the near term. And this tight software integration is very important. Okay.
And I guess that brings me, Classiq recently announced a partnership with NVIDIA. I assume that's part of the hybrid supercomputing sort of play. I guess what's NVIDIA's role in the quantum computing space?
Yeah, so NVIDIA is becoming a more and more prominent player in the quantum space. It started 2.5 years ago with mainly with simulations, simulating quantum programs with GPUs that are very much suitable for these kind of simulations. And simulations are essential for the development of quantum applications, quantum algorithm. And that was a very natural partnership because Classiq enables users to compile the most advanced quantum circuits, and we are integrated with these GPUs, and we enable users to simulate them. So that was a very, I would say, a natural fit. Also, the basis to a previous work published with Rolls-Royce and NVIDIA as well. That was a year ago, the simulation of the largest quantum circuit to date with 10 million gates. And more recently, like a year and a half ago, NVIDIA launched a CUDA Quantum, which is the quantum version of CUDA to some extent. And this is a very advanced quantum software framework that we work with NVIDIA to integrate Classiq with, and that is the basis to other activities as well. So it's quite, I would say, a natural partnership at the software layer of the quantum stack.
All right, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Laurie. Thank you.
Come on.
Hi, I'm Dignan with Constellation Insights, and we're here at ARX to talk about some of the emerging trends we were yapping about. Here with Holger, Liz, Veggie Doug, Plant-Based Doug. So, Holger, let's talk infinite computing and AI.
Yeah, so the interesting thing is infinite computing has been going on since a while. It starts out with infinite connectivity, which you see here watching us do on video. Infinite insight, which is something which Doug covers, that we can for the first time store all the data we have without knowing which questions to ask. Then infinite compute, where we see in the cloud that there's different computing types for different workloads. And now we're in the infinite machine learning. Blame it on me, I didn't call it AI, because I'm a machine learning fan. So infinite AI era, where we can run all these models, and this creates a business process uncertainty. And this means that all the standard software vendors don't know what to really build. This is why they give their customers EAP, Enterprise Application Platform, to build the missing automation, the things they haven't seen, to enable the experimentation for them to do new things.
When do you think this automation is going to happen?
The EAPs are real already, right? So they're available there. What is happening in 2024 is that they put the AI availability through the EAP, right? You see with SAP, where BTP is the AI place. You see at Workday, where the Workday Extend platform, they renamed it so many times, is a place for doing AI. So yeah, build and AI is happening in the EAP already.
And Liz, you had a whole spiel on CX and AI. So.
Well, because I think there's this funny thing that we did when everyone looked around and said, can we make AI real and where can we apply it? We need to see the application of AI. And we all apparently in business sat around and said, what is the least amount of risk to our business, to our future, to our profitability? That's right, let's test it directly with the consumer and with our customer. So let's put it in the contact center. Let's jam it into marketing without really having a strategy for it. Let's just go willy-nilly anywhere across service. And I think the challenge with that is, especially when you start talking about really looking at where AI and data and decisions and the acceleration towards better recommendations and optimizations, not only on process, on automation, on content generation, on just knowing and understanding what data we have. Like, let's fundamentally get down to the brass tacks of what has really struggled. We decided to kind of just go the bot route. And that's a little terrifying because we picked kind of these little moments in time where we're not necessarily going to see the full unfurling of what AI can really do across CX. I think that's what we're seeing right now, is a lot of executives are kind of taking that step back and saying, we had the quick win. We had the quick win in the contact center. We saw some optimization. We had some quick win with content creation. Okay, now we're going to take that step back and hopefully come up with that strategy of what does CX mean now. And it's going to be a lot of business model changes. It's going to be a lot of content changes. We're going to see a lot of efficiencies. And hey, maybe we don't have to write that PDF 19 times. Maybe we just figure out how to ingest it all once. I know you do. I mean, and they're fun now. They've got AI. They talk back and summarize. They're kind of awesome now.
I don't click that every damn time.
I don't. I just dive right in.
It drives me crazy.
If there's a little star thingy, I'm like, glitter. Ooh, like, please. But I think that what's really happening is we've gone, thankfully, through that period of AI where everything sounded like hearts and flowers and rainbows. And we've had a couple hard lessons. We've seen where maybe data didn't come to the rescue and nothing was a silver bullet. We had that reality check. But I think we're now back at a point to something you talk a lot about of how do we use these as opportunities to actually accelerate as opposed to try to bite off that big transformation bite. How do we accelerate the processes? How do we accelerate the optimizations that we've really been chasing for quite some time?
And Doug, you were talking a lot about data platforms.
Yeah, I think you and I in the News Open were talking about the cloud vendors having to invest heavily, a very competitive situation. The same is true for the data platform vendors. In my world, it's mainly about the analytical data platforms, you know, the Snowflakes, the Databricks. We've seen almost all the database vendors introduce vector embedding, vector search. I think the customers are very interested in the retrieval augmented generation, the RAG, doing a lot of that. But the vendors are a little bit ahead of the customers, and so they're coming up with model gardens and things. Liz, I know that's one of your favorite terms.
It really is, because I really want a model garden to sit next to a data reservoir, and it just paints a picture, right?
If
like
you sit in a garden like this, the model
look
garden
where we
is so much
are.
nicer.
We are in a model
Is this
garden.
a model
The model
garden?
garden.
I'm in the
Model
Matrix.
But the number of customers actually moving on from RAG into more complex things like tuning and developing their own models. Far fewer numbers of those customers.
I think they're getting aware. I think that the interesting thing is, like 6 months ago, people would just kind of throw out RAG. Like they'd be like, "Oh, well, we're going to do a RAG." Like they didn't know what it was.
Now they
right?
know what it is.
They know what it is.
Doing
They
it.
know it's a technique. They know it's not a thing. They know it's not a bolt-on, or it's not it's not some new software you put on it. They understand that that's that technique. You move forward, but they also understand that you're going to do it along with fine-tuning. That there's the next stage of that sophistication. So I think people are starting to at least talk about that a bit more at least I'm getting more questions about it. Like I think I'm getting smarter questions about
more
what
real.
the next step
It's
is.
getting more real, but it's hard, right? Because you can't have your eye wait for your database retrieval for too long, right? So it's
Yeah.
a performance architecture which has to be in place to make that really work.
So are they getting to the tuning and training and developing their own models? Not quite yet. So that's where we see this glut of GPUs and capacity that aren't quite being utilized yet.
The big build out.
I think the scarcity is real. So from my data I have, right? The only place where you can get NVIDIA machines idling right now is an Oracle cloud, which not everybody wants to do business with.
Right.
But that's
Right.
the only place. Everybody else is maxed out. I mean, Microsoft or OpenAI can't even provide other languages because they don't have the capacity.
It's just a question of how long they'll last.
Good question. And then what's not maxed out as well is Google's proprietary architecture on the TPU side, right?
Right.
It's working well, working extremely well. All the new things coming out of Google are not running on NVIDIA.
Right.
They're running on just Linux,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Where everybody, the interesting thing with NVIDIA is, right? I mean, it's very interesting what Jensen Huang has done. That he said, I'm going to move the new supercomputer cycle from 2 years to 1 year.
Right.
He gave everybody an empty heart attack because everybody works in 2 year cycles. Now, the crazy guy who's making us work overtime is doubling
Right.
the speed, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious if we can build 2 supercomputers in 2 years, right? Which is to be proven out. But then I was thinking, and it's different. I asked him actually this: in software, if you announce your next version, nobody's buying the old version.
Right.
Right.
Because if I implement for 2 years, I'm not going to go on the old version. So the same thing is happening in hardware. I'm not going to
Yeah.
get this old thing. I want to be Blackwell ready, all the cloud
I want the one that's gold.
And he hasn't even
Sassy.
built Blackwell yet.
Yeah,
Right? So
sassy.
he puts himself in an interesting situation, which hopefully they can out-execute
Is it
themselves.
even
But
moving too fast for any competition to come in?
that's of course the idea, right? But
Right.
on the flip side, right, every architecture has a limit, right? We at the end of the classical Intel CPU, right? We know we can't put more density on it, we can't do more on it, right? The same thing will be happening with NVIDIA GPUs. Right. Instead of him
Right.
having NVIDIA running for, let's assume 5 years, 5 generations, on a 10-year scale, he has them on a 5-year scale, if everything works.
Right.
Yeah.
If everything
Our
works.
friend Tony Baer from the Data
Yes.
Gang talks about GPU, NVIDIA particularly as the new mainframe. A real lock-in.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
think that's
Of
a
course.
danger?
No, yes and no, because I mean everybody talks how proprietary the NVIDIA things are. The problem is, right, keep in mind 5-6 years ago, NVIDIA's problem was nobody in cloud was using them because it's so expensive. And I'm always joking, Jensen has to send fruit baskets to Satya Nadella for saying, like, dang, our internal AI efforts
How does
didn't
one
really
order
work.
that fruit basket? I'm just wondering.
Well, I think it's a monthly subscription or something
Monthly
from
subscription.
Amazon. Right? So because everybody works together now.
But that
in the
was
cloud.
one of the most interesting things. So Doug, as you mentioned, we're here because it's the analyst relations experience,
Yep.
and we're hearing from all of our analyst relations colleagues. I think we often see them like on the other side of the desk, right? But it was so interesting to hear people really talk about what are their cycles, right? Are we having these conversations about market and strategy and direction that we're seeing before code lock-in? What are those cycles also shrinking? Are those cycles also accelerating? And where do they start to, and where does the rest of the organizations, from a comms, from a marketing, from whether you're managing CX, whatever part of this ecosystem that you're looking at when it comes to as technology is advancing and accelerating, everything's compressing. And so it's really putting a whole lot of pressure on where are you getting the market insights? What type of market insights are you getting? And are you looking at the market insights that are available for what is being delivered now, or for what the next cycle of the next 2-year cycle is going to be?
Right.
And I think that's the thing that's getting harder for a lot of folks to start to predict and understand because of how quickly we want to move things as opposed to how quickly we can move things.
But everything has accelerated already. If you think like when I learned enterprise software at SAP and Oracle, there was yearly release.
Right.
Now quarterly releases.
But we still keep the same muscle memory though.
So customers are still aching, it's too much, but somehow they're coping. Right. So like
are they?
They're still running. GDP is up, right? So somehow they're coping.
They weren't running too well about a week ago.
That is we shouldn't talk about this.
Yeah, but
somebody else has to do all this CrowdStrike fiasco.
I love it.
All right. Well, there's ARX in a nutshell.
Thanks for watching.
That's a wrap for episode 85.
Get set for our next episode of CRTV in 2 weeks. Liz and Holger will be bringing that to you. Follow us on YouTube. Go to constellationr.com/blog to subscribe to Larry's Insights newsletter. And in the meantime, have a great week.
We won't be back with pigs. They're so cute.
Okay. Clown car got here. Clown car got here.
The dongle thing is in Doug's room.
Doug, be more mindful with your dongle.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know I was going to need my dongle.
No, come on. That's enough. Come on.
Oh.
All right,
What's
so
up? I really feel like your communication style started with critique, but it really probably
we're
could
going to
have
talk
started
about
with
three
care.
trends. What out of seven, that's
All right. Here
Why do we have to agree? Why you gotta force our collaboration, Doug? Dang, Doug, you and the forcing of the collaboration when all I wanted was some care.
we should just do this.
But then people don't know about this.
Right. They'd be like, oh my God, no. Holger and Liz are ruining the rest of the other episodes. They're getting them to be goofy.
Clarify.
All right. So here's
What did you call it? Model garden? I really need you to say nothing but model garden from now on. Because the minute you said it, all I could picture was the clip of Forrest Gump running out of the garden and onto the street as fast as he could, like, model garden! Like, that's all I could picture. It's not Tom Cruise, it's Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
I know.
Oh, Tom Cruise runs like that.
Cruise runs
True,
like
I
that.
got you. Okay, I understand.
You're confusing me.
I'm clarifying.
Clarify.
Yeah.
That you're running like Tom Cruise.
But you gotta
but
say
meant
model
Tom
garden.
Hanks.
It's like my new favorite. It's gonna be my new favorite thing.
Model bloopers.
I'm up
It's
for
rolling.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
up.
It's rolling.
Oh,
It's
Relax,
jeez.
yes.
Welcome to our blooper reel, Larry.
I guess we're all set. All right. So
Finally, they have
Wait,
a long
wait.
blooper.
Give it a 3.
I really care. I really want to clarify,
Analyze.
not critique.
No critique.
What's the other C?
We collaborate on
Come
this,
on.
Oh,
Collaborate.
okay.
Collaborate on this.
Let's collaborate,
Let's
damn it.
collaborate.
All right.
Okay.
I care about collaboration.
Hopefully our coach never sees this.
Doug,
Doug's
stop.
gonna beat the shit out of all 3 of us.
You just need to celebrate you
Doug
guys.
has his camera.
We need to celebrate Doug.
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 All right, here we go.
Panini.
Veggie Doug.
Oh, Veggie Doug. Well, you can have
No,
veggie panini.
plant-based Doug.
Plant-based PB. Yeah, PBD.
Plant-based Doug.
PBD. Wait, can you see my beverage?
All right, here we go. Ready?
Okay. Sorry. Bad habit.
Okay.
He's never getting through this.
I'll totally get through this. Hi, I'm Larry Dignan with Constellation Insights. That was way too strong.
That was a way too celebratory.
I think. Hi, I'm Larry Dignan with Constellation Insights, and I'm here with Holger, Liz, and Veggie Doug. And we're
Plant-based Doug.
Plant-based
We'll have you
Doug.
know.
And we're going to recap ARX and some of the emerging trends we were yapping about,
Yeah, ARX, Analyst Relations Experience.
and that.
And we're here in Woodinville, Washington. Beautiful spot.
This place does not suck.
Okay, can I? I'm sorry. I gotta stop y'all. I just gotta stop y'all. Is this going in the episode where you've already said where you and Larry were?
Yes.
It is.
Okay, repetitive. So cut that out.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Do it again.
It's still in Woodinville.
That wasn't good.
I'm just gonna sit here, everyone.
Inside joke? Okay, right.
Okay, last take.
All right, last take then.
Come on.